So a couple of weeks ago, I did a survey on Facebook asking people about the topic of leadership and what they are looking for in team members if they're the leader, or what they're looking for in a leader if they're the team member. So here are the results. I put it together in kind of a matrix graph type thing, chart, graph, whatever. Positive aspects here, negative aspects over here, and then a little bit of my input as well. Just some added footnotes there. So things that people stated they are looking for in a team member, different qualities that they value, are teamwork, so that's kind of a no-brainer. Trust, dependability, enthusiasm, and work ethic. Okay, you want to be able to trust your team members. If they commit to something, you want them to follow through with it. You want to be able to depend on their commitment. You want to be able to depend on them showing up to the game and pulling in their work. All right. Enthusiasm and work ethic. Now, these two can be highly influenced by, I believe, the actions of the leader. And I'll talk about that in just a second. Things that people aren't looking for in a team member. Someone who's a backstabber, okay? None of us like being around someone who's fake, who acts one way to our face, but then behind closed doors or behind our backs, says and acts totally differently. That's not very dependable or trustworthy, in my opinion. Someone who's selfish, arrogant, has a superiority complex, someone who thinks it's all about them and everyone needs to abide by their wishes and their goals come first before everyone else's. Someone who thinks that they know everything and they're so good at what they do and there's no room for improvement. Someone who thinks they're better than other people. And then laziness. Laziness can kind of correspond with enthusiasm and work ethic, which I stated can be influenced by the leader. Talk about that right now. Things that people said they are looking for in a leader, that they highly value. Someone who leads by example. All right? It is what it says. The opposite of that is someone who leads by edict. Someone who has an authoritarian approach to leadership. It's my way or the highway. I know what's right. None of you do, so therefore we're going to do everything that I want. Someone who may have egotistical or narcissistic tendencies, and how they are fed as a leader is through the performance of the team. Well, when someone is a slave driver like this and just runs the team ragged and doesn't operate in a way that's in the team's best interest as a group of individuals with individual needs, when that happens, often there's a decline in enthusiasm from the team and therefore performance, okay? Work ethic, laziness sets in, maybe, because people are getting sick of it. That, in turn, does not feed the ego, the narcissistic ego of the leader. So, as you can see, the entire operation just kind of implodes on itself. Not good. Something else they're looking for in a leader is someone who's compassionate. Kind of goes with what I was talking about earlier. Someone who genuinely cares about them as individuals and doesn't just see them as cogs in a machine, here to do work for them and to fulfill their wishes as a leader, but individuals with individual needs who have their own backstory, who are there for their own reasons. Okay, it's up to the leader to figure that out and lift them up in a way that serves not only the team's needs, but maybe even the individual's needs. That takes some extra work. And then equal treatment. None of that teacher's pet, VIP type treatment. Yes, it's important to acknowledge the gifts and the great performances of those on the team, but it's also up to the leader if they're going to lead by example and truly make a lasting difference in not only the team as a whole, but in each individual's life. It's up to that leader, that positive leader, to be able to look out into their room of employees, students, whatever category you're in, to be able to see the strengths in every single student, even the one that doesn't talk, even the employee who isn't all in the game, their head's off in the clouds. Maybe there's something personal going on at home that you don't know about. Okay, it is so important for the leader to be able to see the light in every single team member's soul, okay, potential. Not just the stars who shine the brightest, okay? In that way, I believe that the leader not only serves as this sort of pinnacle of the team, someone at the top of the totem pole who leads the way, but also the foundation. All right? How someone does that, how a leader becomes not only the top but also the foundation, is by knowing themselves, being able to bravely look in the proverbial mirror and ask themselves, what are my flaws, what are my weaknesses, and how can I make them strengths? What do I need to do to raise myself up to my potential and therefore raise my team members up to their potential? Okay, and sometimes that's not the easiest thing to face. Sometimes it brings up memories of the past, or something that happened a long time ago that made you who you are and made you feel the way you do as a leader, or whatever. Everyone has their own story, but it's up to you to turn weaknesses into strengths so you can make a difference. Things that people reported they don't like in a leader. Again, we covered the authoritarian aspects of leadership. Inconsistency and closed-mindedness. These are very interesting. Inconsistency, there's management skills, all right? Making sure your building rent is paid on time if you're in charge of that. Making sure paperwork is filed, calls are returned, emails are replied to. Are you slow with that? Or are you pretty diligent? Do you value the time of your employees or your customers or whoever you work with? Different technical aspects like that. On the other side of inconsistency or consistency is character, okay? Unfortunately, I've witnessed a lot of this. If you're watching this, don't worry. I'm not calling anyone out. But someone who portrays this very motivational, positive image, that seems really awesome. But behind closed doors, they're a totally different person. Unfortunately, that does happen. Not pleasant. Not good for the team members. Not good for the people that look up to them. It's very confusing. If you want to lead by example and make a really good difference and be that solid foundation for your team, you've got to have character consistency. You've got to practice what you preach when nobody is watching. Okay, and that's got to be something that is embedded in your attitude and your mindset. Something you're gonna have to work out, just like a muscle. If you want to be able to deadlift, 500 pounds, you got to work at it. You're not just gonna wake up one day, unless you're, were bit by a radioactive spider, and be able to do that. It's got to be worked on, and you've got to assess your weaknesses and figure out ways and reasons to make those things strengths. So closed-minded, we all know what that is. No one really likes someone who is one track in that this is the way we're going to do it. There's no other way. I was taught this technique in 1980, and therefore it's it's still valid because it was taught by the greatest professor ever. Whatever excuse people use to stay in their box and think this is how it's going to be and this is how we're going to do it. Carol Dweck calls that the fixed mindset. Carol Dweck is a very well-known psychologist who's published a lot of stuff. And the opposite of this, open-minded, is the growth mindset. Someone who thinks of new ways to expand the way they do stuff, thinks of new ways to approach things, thinks of different problem-solving techniques and troubleshoots and ways to keep growing. That's one of the things I really like about science and psychology in particular. We're always thinking of new ways to look at old concepts. We're always building on them. Hardly anything really stays the same. Someone always looks at a different vantage point or tries to change, maybe a hypothesis of someone long ago. Freud's an example. People have really built on Freud, and some people even claim to have debunked Freud and that whole psychoanalytical theory. But again, you do what you want, do your own research. This is just my opinion. Okay, so my little input at the end is a successful leader can self-regulate their emotions and act responsibly. Okay, that kind of goes with character consistency. Are you someone as a leader who accidentally, I don't think anyone means to, projects your anger or frustration onto your students or your team members or your employees? Are you someone who does the kick the dog syndrome, where you displace blame and anger onto other people? Do you have a short fuse because of something that's going on at home? Are you not able to balance what's going on at home? Kind of put a wall there, go to work or whatever it is you do, and start fresh. You know, that's a really important skill. If things go on, okay, we're human, we all go through our hard times, that's okay. But you've got to be able to balance it out so that whenever you get in front of your team, you're doing what's best for the team. Okay, you can't have a short fuse and be explosive. You need to preferably respond instead of react. Okay, react, think volcano. Reactive volcano. Responding is kind of taking everything into consideration and approaching the conflict or the issue from a grounded state, one that thinks in the best interest of everyone involved. So, if you want to be a great team member, if you're looking to build your team, if you're looking to bring your team up to their potential, you first have to realize your potential. Okay, you have to, like I said, look in the mirror. And in you realizing and manifesting your potential, you shine that light onto your team and help them do the same. That's, one of the great points of empowerment. Okay? As a leader and even as a team member, everyone has the ability to make a lasting difference, and one for the positive instead of the negative. Everyone can leave their mark, and everyone has gifts to share that they can uncover. So, I hope this was helpful. I hope it wasn't too, out there. I hope it made sense. So talk to you soon.